Oh, stop. This is a boundary. Boundary. You do not cross. Eh? Okay, so back. Move back.
I'm gonna try. Work till I die. I'm gonna fail and get up, 'cause I'm not giving up on my dream.
Hey gorgeous, and welcome to my channel. I'm Shmange, and this is how I do things. The show where you send me your questions and I let you know how I would do things, and I can take it as entertainment, use it as advice. Take it, don't take it, use it, don't use it at all. Listen honey, do what you will with it. Do you know why? Because not a professional. I'm not a professional at all. I'm just letting you know what I would do if I was in your shoes. I receive your questions from Instagram, from YouTube. I look at the question, I pick a question, I do a video about it. I tell you, me, your shoes, what would I do? Huh? Simple. So today's question I received from somebody on my YouTube channel who was asking, hey, Kay, so what boundaries have you set for yourself in your life? Like in your relationships, physically, mentally, spiritually, what is going on? So I did a little research on this whole topic to see, okay, what do people usually consider as boundaries and rules for life? And apparently there are 3 main rules that every single girl should have for her money, for her physical, and for her time. And I was just like, there's more dimensions to this girl right here. Personally, I think that every girl should have her own set of boundaries for each major area of her life. Not just for her money, not just for her physical, not just for her emotional, but for your spiritual life, for your family, for the things that really matter the most to you. Also, for your sexual boundaries. What lines do you not want people to cross? You should know what they are, and they should pop into your head immediately. So here are my 7 boundaries that I do not want anybody to cross. And yes, they are subject to change based on me growing older and wiser. You know, I might look back on this when I'm 40 years old and think to myself, oh, shame. First of all, let's talk about boundaries. What do we mean by boundaries? It is basically a line that we draw for ourselves in the sand, and it's a line that we need to keep for ourselves. We may say that this is a boundary that we have set for other people, but unless we communicate those boundaries will not be kept and they will not be respected. So when you say that you have a boundary, it's a line that you say that I'm not willing to cross. And if somebody else wants to cross over that line, you need to make sure that that person doesn't do that by communicating those boundaries and by asserting yourself and saying that you deserve to have those boundaries respected. And if they're not, exit the situation. That's one of the best ways to maintain your boundary, is that if somebody else doesn't want to respect it, then find your way to exit from the situation where your boundaries are not being respected. So here are my 7 or 8 boundaries that I have kept in the most important areas of my life. Boundary number 1 is a spiritual boundary, and that is bread of life before baked bread. And what that basically means is that before anything can interrupt my life in the day, I first want to focus on God, in prayer, in the Word of God, and just having some time to build my relationship with my Creator, with my Savior, and the Holy Spirit that is always with me. It is very important to do that, and I know life can get really crazy. You may wake up in the middle of the night because something is going on, even if you're just going to say a very quick prayer, but always relying on God first. Because when you put God 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, that's when things in life start to become a mess. That's when things become haywire. And I've noticed that all my other boundaries fall by the wayside. All my other foundations that I've tried to set, all the other things that I want to achieve in my life go really difficult because the first and most important rule and boundary that I've set in my life is not being respected by me. And that is the bread of life before bread. Number 2 is a financial rule and boundary that I've set for myself, and that is to work on my money every single day. I believe that we're meant to be lenders and not borrowers. We are supposed to be debt free. I believe that you can grow an abundance of life and an abundance of wealth as well. But in order to get there, you need to work on it every single day. So me setting that rule for myself, the boundary that is in there as well, is for me to enable myself to work on my money every single day. That if somebody else is coming in to take away from my money, then financial boundary, working your money daily, making sure that nobody interrupts. Okay, So the second one is a financial boundary that I've set, and that is to work on my money every single day. Yet again, this is a boundary I've set for myself, that I shouldn't let anything interrupt my ability to earn income every single day. And that is very important. I am a daily emailer, I'm a daily YouTuber, and that's how I work on my money every single day. And if not, is to check in on what's actually happening with my shmoney, honey. Setting this boundary means that I have to check in on other people, means that I shouldn't let anybody stop me from doing what is necessary in order for me to work on my money daily. This is a rule that is very important to me, and again, the onus is on me to make sure that that boundary and that rule in my life is adhered to. Number 3 and number 4 are both physical boundaries that I've set for myself and for others. Number 3 is that my space is to be respected. Please do not touch me. Let's keep a safe distance, whether there's COVID or not. Let's keep a safe distance from each other, because I believe that my body is a temple, my body is gold, and I value it, and I want you to value it as well. I get very uncomfortable when people are in my space and are touching and hugging without permission, or at least trying to see if the situation is right. This also is the same case with my children and with my husband. It's really strange when people don't respect physical boundaries and don't cross a certain line, when they don't respect a certain line of physical and personal space. Let's keep at least a meter away from each other. Let's talk to each other properly. Let's respect each other's spaces, and don't just go touching my face or my children's faces. It's really strange and weird. The second physical boundary that I have is that I need to take care of my body. I've set a very clear line that there's a boundary in terms of certain things that I will not allow into my body, because I'm taking care of my body. It is like a garden. If you keep throwing trash into the garden, how do you expect it to thrive and for it to bloom, to blossom, and to grow? That can't happen. So I've set certain boundaries in terms of the type of food that I have, as well as alcohol, as well as anything that I ingest, anything that has too much sugar in it. There's very clear boundaries that I have set. This is allowed and this is not allowed, and this is also respected by people around me. If I go to places and parties where they do not cater for us as a family in terms of the food, then we're out of there to go get food that is catered for us. There's a clear line that we've set with what we do and don't allow into our bodies, and if that is not respected by us or the people that we are visiting, then we're out of there. Number 5 is a sexual boundary. This is very important for every woman to have this line, to say where the line is and that it should not be crossed. I'm married and my body belongs to my God and my husband only. Nobody else comes close to that area. So if you are a single woman, you draw your own boundary and say that, listen, I may not have a husband now, but this body belongs to my future husband. So that line shall not be crossed with me. We can hold hands, we can hug, we can cuddle, but sexually, not going there. And it's really up to you. Some people set the line and saying no cuddling at all, because cuddling can lead to other things. It's important for you to draw a clear line. It's really hard for people to respect your boundaries if there is no clear line that has been set. If people can't tell where the line starts and where it ends, then people will never know when they are stepping over that boundary, and you will also find it very hard to communicate that boundary if you don't know where it is. So set a very clear line and say that holding hands and hugging only, or that my body only belongs to one person. Whatever your boundary is, make sure that it's clean, clear cut, and easy to communicate. Number 6 is an emotional boundary, and that is honesty will not hurt me, it will heal me. Emotionally, I don't want people to lie to me, and I don't want to lie to myself. Remember, boundaries aren't just for other people, they're for you too. My emotional boundary cuts off at lies. My emotional boundary cuts off when somebody is trying to work in a funny, squiff line of truth. Truth will always help you and heal you, and even if it feels as though it hurts in the moment, that is a short-term hurt, because in the long term it will be much better for you. So my emotional boundary when it comes to my life is truth. As long as it is truth, it is within my boundaries, and you cross over my boundaries when you head into lies. Number 7 is time and productivity. And this is a really, really important one because most people don't usually set these boundaries. You may have a time boundary and productivity boundary when it comes to work, that you need to be at work at 9 a.m. every single morning, no questions asked. That is a boundary that you have set. That is a rule that you have set for your life. What other boundaries have you set? Some people set boundaries that say that I only respond to emails between a certain time. And that is a rule that you have to accept, and that is a boundary that nobody gets to cross. That I only answer emails in the morning. If it comes in the afternoon, I'll see it the next day. Some people set boundaries and say that they will only spend 1 hour on social media. Other people say that it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. Those are all time and productivity boundaries that people have set. What is yours? For me, I'm learning every single day to set time and productivity boundaries. I'm getting into a routine and I'm trying to set rules about what time is available and what time is not available for me, when I do certain things and when I don't. I try and take my work and put in a specific time, and then if that time is exceeded, then it's done for the day. People will have to wait until the next day. And it's important that I stick to those boundaries, because if I don't remind other people, they're going to be all up in my space. And if you don't want people to be in your space, set your boundaries and remember to communicate them. People will try to push them all the time. It's up to you to constantly remind them of the boundaries that you've set. So when it comes to my time, for now, the boundaries that I have set is that it doesn't happen by chance. I'm trying to plan and I'm trying to look ahead into what is happening. So I've time blocked my time, seeing what I do when, and when that time is over, setting certain boundaries for areas of my life, then that is it. You'll have to wait until the next time session is there. I've set freedom time and I've set time for recording, for work, and for emails. That gives me flexibility to do what I need to when I need to do it. It works really well for me. And like I said, it's a revolving thing. I'm still working on this boundary and the different rules that I've set when it comes to time and productivity. Then there is number 8, my final boundary that I've set. These are my non-negotiables. I've actually put my mental boundaries into my non-negotiables. And that is always happy. I always want to be happy. If things are making me fundamentally happy in the short and in the long term, they're out of the way. Non-negotiables for me are my family. They literally come first after God. Literally. Not work, not money, nothing comes ahead of my family. I will quit my job for my family. I will move cities for my family because they are that important to me. Non-negotiables are things that no hell or high waters, no rivers, no mountains can ever make you negotiate these things. That's my mental health, that's my family, that's my God. Those are things that can never ever be messed with. Clear boundaries have been set on that, and people know that. Try and set a meeting with me on a day when it is a Sunday, for example. Try and set a meeting with me when I have to do something with my kids. It's not gonna happen. Those are non-negotiables. We have set times for baths. We have set times to do things as families, and that is not going anywhere. I have a flexible time schedule in my life, but that means I've scheduled in my family first. Everything else in my life fits around that. Those are the boundaries that I've set for other people, that this time is for family. Nothing or no one is going to get in the way of those things. Those are the boundaries that I've set for myself. And they're always based on your values. You identify with what you've set as a value and as a moral in your life. So if you really want to set your boundaries, start with what you value. Do you value what is said in the Bible? Set your priorities, set your boundaries according to what is said in the Bible. Then you know that when somebody crosses a specific line, or when you cross a specific line, you know where that line is, what has happened, and how you can fix it. No one can keep boundaries that aren't clear. No one can stick to boundaries that they can't see or communicate. So take time to write them down and see how that will help to shape you, because keeping boundaries is good for your mental health. Setting physical, emotional, sexual boundaries, financial boundaries, those are all impacting your mental state. So take some time, set your boundaries, and remember, it's up to you to keep them. that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. It was an interesting one. I haven't actually thought about that before, and I'm happy that those boundaries are actually there. I hope that it helps you and that you'll be setting your boundaries too. Please give this video a big thumbs up, and don't forget to comment down below with your questions or what you thought about this video, and share this with a friend. Until next time, gorgeous. Bye. Hey beautiful, thank you so much for watching my video, and thank you for making it to this point. Now if you're here and you have not subscribed, then you are cheating, you are stealing my videos. Stop stealing. It's a very simple solution. This is how it works. Press this button right here, you subscribe. Stolen, no longer stolen. Okay, feel free to binge watch my videos because this is completely binge watchable content. Until next time.